Let me start with something simple. If you've ever canceled plans because the place was going to be too crowded, if you've ever felt your energy drain the moment you stepped into a packed room, or if you've ever been told, "You're so quiet," or "You should go out more," this video is for you. And no, this isn't about being antisocial, broken, or needing to change. It's about something much deeper, something most people never talk about. Because the truth is, people who avoid crowds aren't weak, they're rare. For most of my life, I thought something was wrong with me. I'd walk into a busy mall, a loud party, or a packed event, and within minutes, my body would tighten, my thoughts would get louder, my energy would drop fast. Meanwhile, everyone else seemed fine, laughing, talking, moving effortlessly through the noise. And I'd ask myself, why can't I do this like they do? But here's what I eventually realized, and what I want you to understand today. Avoiding crowds isn't about fear. It's about awareness, and that changes everything. Let's talk about what's really going on psychologically. People who avoid crowds tend to process the world more deeply. You're not just seeing people, you're reading them. You're not just hearing noise, you're registering tone, emotion, tension, and energy all at once. Your brain doesn't filter things out the way most people's brains do. So when you're in a crowd, it's not just busy, it's overwhelming. You notice micro-expressions. You feel emotional shifts in the room. You pick up on fake smiles, nervous laughter, forced confidence. And your nervous system is constantly saying, too much, too much, too much. That's not weakness. That's sensitivity paired with intelligence. Most people move through crowds on autopilot. You don't. And that alone puts you in a different category. Another thing nobody tells you, people who avoid crowds often value depth over stimulation. Crowds are built on surface-level interaction, small talk, noise, performance, everyone trying to be seen. But you're wired for meaning. You'd rather have one real conversation than 10 shallow ones. You'd rather sit with your thoughts than shout over music. You'd rather connect deeply with one person than feel invisible in a room full of people. And because society rewards loudness, speed, and visibility, people like you get misunderstood. They call you introverted, they call you shy, they call you too serious. But what they're really saying is, you don't move at the same shallow pace as us. Crowd-avoidant people tend to be observers before participants. You like to understand a space before entering it. You scan environments naturally. You notice patterns others miss. That's why crowded environments feel unsafe, not physically, but mentally. There's no room to be yourself there. And here's something that might hit close to home. People who avoid crowds often learned early on that being quiet was safer than being loud. Maybe you grew up in a chaotic environment. Maybe you were emotionally mature at a young age. Maybe you were the kid who listened more than they spoke. So you learned to conserve your energy. Crowds don't respect that. Crowds demand performance, and you refuse to perform. That's powerful. Another hidden trait, you're not easily influenced. Crowds amplify groupthink, trends, opinions, emotions, but you don't absorb energy blindly. You question it. You don't like losing your individuality to a collective mood. That's why crowded spaces feel draining. They pull you away from yourself, and you've spent your whole life trying to stay connected to who you really are. Let's be honest for a moment. Have you ever left a crowded place feeling exhausted, not physically, but emotionally, like you needed silence just to feel normal again? That's because your mind was working overtime, even if you didn't realize it. People like you don't relax in crowds, they endure them, and endurance is expensive. That's also why you might feel more alive alone, on a quiet walk in a calm cafe, or late at night when the world slows down. Your nervous system finally gets to breathe. Here's something else that's rarely said out loud. People who avoid crowds often have strong inner worlds. You think deeply, you reflect, you replay conversations not out of anxiety, but understanding. You don't just live life, you process it. And in a noisy world, that's rare. Crowds drown out introspection. They don't allow space for emotional clarity, and you need that space. That's why forced socializing feels unnatural to you. It's not connection, it's noise pretending to be connection. Now let me say this clearly, because someone needs to hear it. You are not missing out, you are opting out. There's a difference. Most people chase stimulation because they're uncomfortable with silence. You embrace silence because it tells you the truth. That makes you self-aware. That makes you emotionally intelligent. That makes you dangerous in the best way, because you can't be easily manipulated. Another psychological layer, people who avoid crowds often have strong boundaries, even if they don't realize it yet. You instinctively protect your mental space. Your body knows when something is too much, even if your mind tries to rationalize it. That's intuition, and intuition is a muscle most people never develop. You feel when a place isn't aligned with you. You sense when energy is off. You trust that feeling, even if others don't understand it. And yes, that might make you feel lonely sometimes, but loneliness is better than self-betrayal. Here's the part nobody talks about. As you get older, this trait becomes a strength. While others burn out chasing constant stimulation, you learn how to recharge. While others lose themselves in crowds, you become more grounded in who you are. People like you often thrive in roles that require focus, creativity, empathy, and insight. You see beneath the surface, and in a world addicted to surface-level living, that's rare. So if you've ever felt different for avoiding crowds, let me reframe it for you. You're not antisocial, you're selectively social. You're not weak, you're sensitive in a world that rewards numbness. You're not behind, you're simply walking a quieter, deeper path. And here's the truth I wish someone told me earlier. The world doesn't need more loud people, it needs more aware ones. People who think before they speak, people who feel before they react, people who choose depth over noise. That's you. So the next time someone questions why you don't like crowds, don't explain yourself. You don't need to justify self-awareness. You're rare because you listen to your inner world in a society that avoids it. And that is not something to fix. That's something to protect. If this video made you feel seen, even a little bit, then you're not alone. There are more of us than you think. We're just not shouting about it.